The Azores Islands are a Portuguese archipelago in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Considered the Hawaii of the Atlantic, they offer a unique mix of natural beauty and European charm. I visited in December of 2022 to run the EPIC Azores, a 60-kilometer race on Sao Miguel Island, where I'd end up having to battle some pretty difficult conditions.
It was so windy out there. That was insane. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that.
But while I came for the race, I stayed for 2 weeks to soak in as much as I could of all that the islands have to offer, including the quaint villages, green pastures, lake-filled calderas, and local cuisine.
It's just like melt from a milk tender.
Located about 1,400 kilometers off the coast of Portugal and close to 2,000 kilometers southeast of Canada, there are 9 major Azorean islands clustered in 3 main groups. I'd be spending my first week on Sao Miguel, the largest of the islands, nicknamed the Green Island, where the race was taking place. It's a mountainous island full of spectacular sights, like the crater of the Cidades Massif, the geothermal hotspot of Furnas, a number of incredible parks, and of course, the famous happy cows of the Azores Islands. 45,000 of its 140,000 inhabitants live in Ponta Delgada, the largest city in the archipelago, which acts as its administrative hub. I arrived early this morning around 7 a.m., got my car rental, I came and got checked into the hotel, and I had a quick nap. I only had a couple hours sleep last night on the plane, and then I went and explored a nearby town just to get my bearings. The hotel that I'm staying at is actually near where the last aid station will be on the course that I'm running in 2 days. And I can see that the course has already been flagged, so I'm gonna go run backwards on the course and check it out. The weather on the Azores Islands is influenced heavily by ocean currents and winds. The Gulf Stream in particular helps to moderate temperatures to between about 14 to 23 degrees Celsius throughout the year. But the location of the islands also makes them susceptible to storms, and precipitation tends to be much higher in the winter.
I'm glad we'll be going down these stairs. At least I think I'm glad. Oh, there's more. Well, these are not stairs, at least not stairs made for humans. And if this is any indication of what the rest of the course is like, I'm in trouble.
Only 5% of the land on Sao Miguel is used for commercial and residential purposes, leaving much of the island for agricultural use. The region has long been known for its high-quality dairy products, and the happiness and well-being of the cows is considered to be of utmost importance to the farmers. The next day, I headed further inland to the town of Furnas. So I'm in the town of Furnas, which is actually near where my race is starting tomorrow morning, and I'm just going to go visit one of the natural hot springs. Furnas is known for its geothermal activity, with bubbling hot springs and geysers accessible from a series of walkways. In the town center is Terra Nostra Garden, which features an impressive botanical garden, as well as a series of geothermal pools. The volcano in Furnas is considered very active and to be one of the most dangerous in the Azores, given that several thousand people live directly within and around its caldera. It was then time to head back to the coast to the race finish to pick up my bib before heading over to the home of the race director Lewis for dinner.
Sou Luís Onça, sou professor de Educação Física e vivo em Ponta Delgada. This is our 7th edition, and this year our expectations were high, but we break our athletes record, 1,000 competitors, mostly from mainland, and from 21 different countries and about 400 runners from the Azores. There is banana from Colombia and this banana from Azores. This is local banana. The weather forecast for this edition are not the best, but the weather forecast here is not always precise. The last edition of the EPIC, we were looking for some high clouds and bad weather, but it was a perfect day. There is an expression in Azores that say that in 1 hour you can see all the seasons of the year. The name is EPIC, and maybe this is the most epic race in all times.
This is what you'll have at the aid stations?
This is what we have. It's sweet bread. It's called massa sovada from the island, and this is the bolo levedo from Furnas.
Looks like good aid station food to me. I got up bright and early the next morning to catch the shuttle from the finish line back to the start of the race. So we are at the start line here in Furnas. It's just before 7 o'clock. The race is going to start in about 10 minutes. You can see the steam coming up behind me here from the hot springs. And it's pretty cold and it's really windy. We're expecting gusts up to 75 kilometers per hour today. With the rain, it's going to be pretty cool, so they had to reroute the course to avoid some of the highest and most exposed sections to keep us more in the trees where we'll be a little bit more protected, but it should still be pretty beautiful and pretty difficult, pretty challenging. Here we go. Okay, and we're off 62 kilometers, and I think it's going to be a challenging day.
My parents are from Portugal. I was looking for an excuse to travel with them. Oh, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I've never been in Hawaii, but I would assume this is what it looks like, except culture, right?
The hail started again. I think it's going to be on and off like this all day. Well, things changed in a hurry here. The rain started again, the wind picked up. I got some more hail, so the hard shell went right back on. So we're a little bit sheltered from the wind here. It was so windy out there that you couldn't use your poles. The poles were just blowing all over the place. They were completely useless. And we've got a momentary break in the weather here. Everybody up there just grinded to a halt. No doubt because of the mud on the steep slope. Whew.
go.
Thank you. Okay, so through the second aid station, we're at close to 22 kilometers. We've done almost 1,000 meters of climbing. We're in between rain showers right now, but it's not too cold. It hasn't been too bad, but lots of mud. Having flashbacks to my race in Georgia.
Hi, Jim.
Nice work, guys. Hey, how are you doing?
You having fun?
I'm having fun. Yeah, you?
Yeah, the wind is too
It's
strong.
tough. The mud slows you down.
No, the worst part is the wind. It's not good. It's not very fun to run.
So we're coming up on 30K here, and we're on this long descent. It's paved, and I think I'm gonna feel this in my quads later on, so I'm trying to take it easy. We've still got a lot of race left, quite a bit of climbing, and then just a ton of descent down to the finish. So I'm gonna try to save something in my legs. But for now, at least it's some easy miles. This reminds me of our trails back home.
soup here because I'm getting super hungry.
Chá, café.
Quer chá café?
Não, eu digo aos senhores.
Queres uma cola para aí?
Eu quero agora é abrir.
Thank you. All right. All right, I had a little bowl of soup and some chips. I was super hungry, but I think I'll be good now for the rest of the day. That was insane. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. We are feeling the full force of the Atlantic Ocean today, my friends. What do you think?
Epic!
Epic.
Epic! And the worst is yet to come in terms of weather.
Okay, about 42 kilometers in, so I've got about 20 kilometers left, and it's mostly downhill. Just one more climb. It's about a 500-meter climb, but we have a whole bunch of descending to do. Back down to the ocean. Really beautiful section of trail here. Okay, so I'm on the section that I pre-ran a couple of days ago, and that means that those horrible, horrible steps are coming up here in about a kilometer. I think I've got just enough left in my quads to manage those. And then we'll have one more climb, and then we drop down to the finish. I began catching up with runners of the 110K course who started earlier that morning.
Hey! Whoa! Thank you! Whoa. One more aid station, and it's right in front of my hotel of all places. It's gonna take all of my willpower not to stop and go inside and lie down. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. Okay, just grab a little bit of bread for the road. we go. There's the finish line just up here. Thank you.
In the 60 kilometers race, congratulations, Jeff Pelletier.
While I was ready to celebrate finishing the race, it turns out I hadn't run the entire course. Somewhere up on this ridge, I had missed a crucial junction where the 60K deviated from the 110K course, meaning I'd missed a 4-kilometer loop and had run a more direct line down the ridge instead. So that didn't go exactly as planned. I got my first ever disqualification, but I guess there's a first time for everything. But I still had a really great time out there. Who doesn't like playing in the mud? And the course definitely lived up to its name. That was an epic experience. Wow. A couple of days after the race, I had a chance to meet up with the race director, Lewis, for a tour of Set Cidades. High up on a viewpoint is an abandoned luxury hotel, which was built in the late 1980s. The hotel was designed to be the ultimate in luxury travel, but the island had yet to begun attracting international tourists. The 5-star resort was closed down just 18 months after it opened and left to the elements, but the view from the roof is still as good as ever. We then headed out for a run to explore the Massif.
Well, we are in Pico das Águas, the highest point in the Sete Cidades area. Then we're going to Lagoa do Canário and the viewpoint of Grota do Inferno. I think it's the best view of the Sao Miguel Island, but there are some clouds. Let's see.
So normally from this viewpoint, you get a 360-degree view of the entire island and, of course, the surrounding ocean, but not so lucky today. We're getting peekaboo views today.
The interior of the Set Cidades caldera is 5 kilometers in diameter, with walls up to 400 meters high. Its 2 largest crater lakes are named after the color of the water, the Blue Lake and the Green Lake, and they're considered among the most beautiful natural wonders in the Azores.
nuts. Gotta be careful.
Lewis then took me to check out a 1,200-meter long water drainage tunnel on the banks of Lagoa Azul.
We are in the tunnel of Sete Cidades that was made to pull the waters out of the lagoon so people can live here. We have a race. I'm the organizer of the race. It's called Sete Cidades Ultimate Trail. The last part of the race crosses the tunnel and finish in the center of town of Sete Cidades. It's about 2 kilometers from here.
That's pretty cool. You can see a light way down there that's over 1 kilometer, and the race comes through here. That would be unreal. I spent the next couple of days exploring the rest of the island. Not only does the weather change super quickly here, but also the weather's super localized. So you might be in the rain, but 10 or 20 kilometers up the island, it'll be sunny. So the locals use this app called Spot Azores, which shows webcams from all around the island. And you can see here it's partially clouded in some spots, but then completely overcast in others. So I'm just using this right now to try to decide where to head to first this morning, where I might get some decent weather.
Legs feel okay?
They feel great, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I met up with Nelson and his family for a tour of a nearby pineapple plantation. Sao Miguel is the only place in the world where pineapples are grown in greenhouses.
Cheers.
Production began after the disappearance of the island's orange crops, and it's now home to over 6,000 plantations. The climate of the island also proved to be perfect for the cultivation of tea. Although since the Second World War, all but one tea plantation has closed down, making it the oldest and only tea plantation in Europe. Sao Miguel also features a natural thermal pool unlike any other, because it's in the ocean. So there are natural thermal pools in the ocean here that you can swim in. But of course, that's more of a summer activity. I think today I would probably be swept away into the ocean, never to be seen again. For my last day on Sao Miguel, I joined Lewis and a group of his friends for a long run to help pull the remaining flagging and to check out the part of the course that I missed.
This is our plan A for EPIC, but we have to change course because of the weather. This is a beautiful part of the race, but it's very exposed in the wind, cold, and rain, so we have to do another track up there. It was safer.
This here is where I missed the turn, fork in the road. I followed this ridge down on the 110K course, and I should have went this way over here on the 60K course. I think at this point, I was just trying to stay upright and keep my hat on. And apparently the one sign that said attention or something had maybe blown away as well. So there wasn't as much flagging as there would have been to start with. That's okay, we're gonna do the little 4K loop now and I can see what I missed. That evening, I took a 40-minute flight to nearby Azores Island, where I'd spend the next few days. Azores is the third largest island in size, but the second most populated, with over 53,000 inhabitants. Like on Sao Miguel, the main economic activity on the island is the raising of livestock and the production of dairy-based products. But it's widely known for Portuguese bullfighting, and an event similar to the running of the bulls has been taking place here since the 16th century. My plan was to meet up with Angelo and Joao, who I was connected to through a friend of Lewis, so that I could get a tour of some of the island's best trails.
You are ready?
I'm ready.
You want to take some chicken with you?
Yeah, that's our lunch. These are some hidden creeks and waterfalls you're taking us on today?
Yes, in the winter there's the water is running, so the people stays at home, but we come out and do things like this. In the summer it's dry, so there's nothing to see.
Yeah, just like in Vancouver when it's raining, we go under the trees and we explore the creeks and waterfalls. Same thing. Wow. All the rain, the water's sure flowing and everything's super green.
Joel is our sensei, like a Splinter. And we are the Ninja Turtle. He's the mentor of the group. If it wasn't Joel on Terceira, almost no trail running.
Really?
He convinced everyone to start running.
You too?
Yeah, me also. It's sensei.
So apparently sometimes the cows will get lost and they'll actually fall down over the cliff into the water here, and then the smell's obviously just atrocious. All right, nice little 6 kilometer or so run. Just enough on my tired legs after 27K yesterday. The guys then took me to a little family-run restaurant for some traditional cuisine.
Octopus stew.
This is a pretty typical dish here, this octopus stew, and they let it cook for like 5-6 hours, so it gets super tender. It's just like melting the milk tender, not rubbery at all. It's really nice.
The next day, I met up with Joao and Angelo again to run a couple more short routes.
We're going down to the ocean and be on the top of the cliffs. So many cameras.
Yeah. So it's Saturday morning, and we're going to do a couple of shorter routes today. It's quite humid. It's super warm. You know, it's only about 10 a.m., but this is by far the warmest and most humid it's been. It rained quite heavily last night. Feels very tropical.
I do spearfish here sometimes.
Oh.
In the summer when the water is nice and flat, it's pretty nice. I come here, fish mackerels lots of times. It's a nice spot to fish during the summer and winter too, when it's not too windy. It's a nice spot.
In the summer, the ocean is totally calm here, so you can cliff dive apparently off these cliffs.
We're going all the way around there, and we're going to be on the top, down there on the top.
So apparently when the waves are especially big, they come right over these huge rocks here. It's like 20 meters. Woo!
They will have the corn in, like inside these bags and put it in here, and this is a rock. You make the corn inside here, and the flour comes out through there.
So this is a model of an old water mill, and this one's now set up kind of like a museum.
This
It's
is
pretty
the
cool.
model of the houses, yeah.
Okay, so the water gets pumped in like you saw there. It makes the wheel spin. That in turn makes this rock here spin, and it grinds down the wheat or the corn, whatever they put in the top here. Mills it down to a flour. So this was purpose-built as a museum, but at one point there would have been something like 48 of these water mills just along this one kilometer stretch of the creek here. You guys are canyoneering down this creek. Looks like a lot of fun. Joe tells me this is one of the only creeks that runs all year round, so it's a popular spot. And he pioneered this trail. He says he used to bushwhack his way up this creek. He'd take groups of runners up here, and finally the municipality decided to build a trail, a hiking trail along here.
We finished, then we go there and take all the mud out.
This is where they go for a bath after they finish their runs. These are the seeds from the eucalyptus tree. It smells really nice in here. We then headed over to Joao's house for lunch. Joao lives on a beautiful property in the middle of the island with his wife and 2 dogs.
This is like the potatoes that I put yesterday. And this is the alcatra. Let me see if it's warm. Maybe.
It's a traditional dish?
Yeah, this is the broad beans, and mixed with a little bit the sausage, local sausage, and it's all cooked with onions, garlic, and a mixture with oil of oil, a little bit of butter, and half a beer.
Okay.
Then I cook everything together and put it in the stove yesterday, and I just pick it up today.
Oh wow.
It stays there all night.
Yeah, slow cooked.
Low cooked. Well, if you don't like it, it's all you eat left.
Oh, it looks great.
And a sweet potato.
So these beans are from his backyard, just over here. Can't get any more local than that.
Oh yeah.
So they are so sweet.
These are from your backyard as well. Nice.
João has everything.
So these are for the Christmas time. They are very sweet already. Some of there is from January to March, and some of them is from May to the end of June.
Different phases.
Yeah, so I have just 3 or 4 months without the oranges. This is some of goiabas. This is plants from Brazil. At a size, and it's the season now. So if you taste them, they are really sweet and a lot of vitamin C.
The climate on the Azores Islands is perfect for growing a variety of fruits and vegetables. And it's one of the few places on Earth where it's possible to grow crops all year round.
You see, it's like passion fruit. Then if you dog is getting the oranges from the tree, it's a crazy. This is avocado, and back there is where I plant my sweet potatoes. I left this side to build a house sometime later for my daughter. And this is the broad beans that we ate.
Joao started working when he was just 6 years old on his uncle's farm after his father died. He only went to school until the age of 12.
I was raised in this village as a farmer, and I was growing everything and the milk cows and everything by hand like in old times.
And now you're retired?
No, I'm retired.
Yeah.
I still can move
Yeah.
well, so I have a nice time now.
Yeah, you can enjoy your health and your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Yeah.
Very good time to be
We
retired.
take a lot of advantage of that.
Yeah.
So here I have mostly running podiums, and I have 400 medals here, like US military medals that I won races. 5Ks that I did like 15 minutes and something. Then I had 10Ks with 33 minutes. It's like 42 years of running right here. So
42 years of running.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
My whole life it was based on running, so
Joao had been working as a waiter at a club on the US military base on Terceira Island. The base would have running competitions, which Joao would often win. So when positions opened up on the firefighting team, he was invited to apply.
everybody on base knew me because I was beating everybody there. So and this one here's 2 half marathons that I won, like with 1:13 minutes.
He'd end up working for the US government as a firefighter for the next 26 years.
I have all my trainings.
This is your training diaries.
Yeah, all my races and all my times are here on the books for since 1989. Every day I'll mark whatever I did.
He was able to take English classes on the base to further his education, while continuing to run and to race all over the world.
I was used to play soccer in school with my friends. I was like maybe 8 years old, 9 years old.
How old are you now?
I'm 58 right now.
58. Joao was able to retire at quite a young age with a pension. He now mentors other runners like Angelo and his girlfriend, for whom, like many on the island, running has become a huge part of their lives as well, all thanks to Joao. The next morning, I prepared to leave for nearby Pico Island, just a 35-minute flight away. Okay, so I'm just at the airport here. I'm supposed to hop on a flight to Pico Island in about an hour at 9:20, but it's super windy outside. I couldn't imagine that a plane can take off in this weather, but they're still optimistic that they will. Really good chance that the flight gets canceled though, but apparently they cover hotels, food, and transport if that happens, and they'll get me on a flight later today or tomorrow. So wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I do have plans on Pico, and I'm only there for 2 days, so fingers crossed that I make it. Well, my flight did eventually get canceled, so I headed back into town. Fortunately, Joao was keen to meet up again. He took me on a tour of an ancient lava tube located in the center of the island, which is 90 meters deep. So Joao tells me they used to do a race here pre-COVID where they'd start at the bottom there and they'd go all the way up all these stairs up to the entrance, and I think they'd do laps and they'd time it. Just a total quad crusher, I'm sure. Later, we met up with Angelo for dinner and for what has to be some of the best seafood I've ever had, including barnacles, which were absolutely delicious. Oh yeah. I would try my luck again the next day at the airport.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to EPIC Airport. Please keep your seatbelt fastened. The aircraft stand still.
Pico Island is the second largest in the archipelago, but with only 15,000 people. During the summer, it's a popular destination for whale watching, as several species of whales and dolphins can be spotted in the waters right around the island.
Is the UNESCO World Heritage.
Carlos, another friend of a friend, offered to pick me up from the airport and to give me a tour, starting with a wine tasting. The vineyards here produce a unique white wine, which has been cultivated on the island since the 15th century. The island is best known for its UNESCO-designated vineyards, which are unique due to their method of cultivation in small plots of land enclosed by black volcanic rock. Carlos then took me for a short run so I could get a better feel for the terrain. So Carlos ran Tour des Géants just this past year. He said he watched my film in preparation.
I think I watched it 50 times, 57. No, it was a great help.
On a clear day, the landscape on Pico Island is dominated by Mount Pico, a dormant volcano which is actually the highest mountain in Portugal at 2,351 meters. So originally I was hoping to climb Mount Pico, but it wasn't in the cards given the weather. So I resigned myself to at least getting a view of the mountain, but I don't think I'm gonna get that either today. Next time gives me a reason to come back in the summer. After just one night on Pico Island, I was scheduled to return to Sao Miguel, where I'd have one more day to spend exploring before returning home. I met up with Lewis for one last run to check out some of the waterfalls along the northern coastline. His dog Set came along with us for what would be his first run off-leash since Lewis rescued him just over a month before.
This is Set. We have Set about 1 month. He was in Set Cidades, that's why he's called Set. He was a hunt dog and he wasn't well treated, so we rescued him. He's a big dog for an apartment, but it's good. He runs with me.
He's gonna run with us today.
Let's go. So this is a water mill to do the flour for the bread. Set likes.
Set was bred to hunt rabbits, but wasn't exactly raised in the best conditions. This is actually Set's first off-leash trail runs, and I'd say he's doing pretty well. Set managed to find us a rabbit carcass, which he seemed very proud of.
My first hunt.
When I was invited to run the race, I'll admit that I had to look up the Azores on a map. There's something really special, though, about traveling to a place that many people haven't even heard of, yet alone have visited themselves. And with 6 other islands still to visit and a summit of Mount Pico now on my bucket list, you can bet that I'll be back one day soon.
My final meal in the Azores. Traditional octopus stew. It looks delicious.
Good?
Even better than the last time.
Yeah.